We begin in the name of God the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Almighty God, we thank you for the management of the University of Cape Coast. And as we are gathered here today, as a university and as a family, to listen to our professors' achievements, we commit the venue into your hands. We ask for your presence, and we commit all functionaries into your hands. We ask that may you function through them, and we ask for utterance and grace for him, and we commit the entire program into your hands. We ask that may you make it a success. We thank you for an answered prayer. In the name of Christ Jesus our Lord, we pray with thanksgiving. Amen.
We shall remain standing as we take the UCC anthem. The text to the anthem is on page 15 of the brochure. Please take your seat. I have the singular honor of introducing to you the chair for this afternoon's inaugural lecture. Our chairman is a pharmacist and a biomedical scientist. He is a Ghana College of Pharmacists Fellow, a Japan International Cooperation Agency JICA scholar, and a postgraduate of the Institute of Medical Education and Research C.V. Raman scholar. Our chairman is a member of the Association of African Universities and has consulted worldwide on community pharmacy practice, and is also a member of numerous international and local professional bodies. He has taught at various levels and supervised a number of MPhil and PhD students from different backgrounds. He has climbed through the ranks of this university and has been at the forefront of academic leadership in key areas. Currently, the Vice Chancellor of University of Cape Coast. Ladies and gentlemen, help me welcome Professor Johnson Yakob-Bwampong, our chair, to give us the welcome address and introduction of our speaker.
Thank you for the introduction. Professor Mrs. Rosemond Bohin, Pro-Vice Chancellor, University of Cape Coast, members of the University of Cape Coast Governing Council, Honorable Minister Usua Banahene, Regional Minister Bono Region, Reverend Befi Sabin, Acting Registrar, Osabe Makwesiata II, Omanhin of Ogwa Traditional Area, Nana Kweku Enu, Mariahin of Ogwa Traditional Area, Honorable Minister Mustafa Hamid, Professor Daniel Obin Ofori, Vice Chancellor, Catholic University, Fiapre, registrars of sister universities, provosts, deans, directors of academic and administrative units, heads of department and heads of hall, members of convocation, staff and students, distinguished invited guests, friends in the media, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. On behalf of the Governing Council, management, staff and students of the University of Cape Coast, I welcome you all to today's professorial inaugural lecture to be delivered by Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE. We wish to extend a hearty welcome to all our special guests, families, and friends of Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE. We say Akwaba. We appreciate your presence and support. Distinguished invited guests, within the academy, inaugural lectures provide the occasion for universities to acknowledge the appointment or promotion of academics to the rank of professor, introduce them, and provide them with the opportunity to engage with the university community. An inaugural lecture is therefore a significant milestone in academic career, recognizing their promotion to professor. Ladies and gentlemen, these lectures form a key part of the tradition of the University of Cape Coast, where we create the platform to enable our astute professors to showcase to the university-wide audience their research or their perspectives on issues of interest to them. Each lecture provides an opportunity for academics to share, among others, their achievement in research, innovation, engagement, and teaching activities before an audience of members of the university community and the general public. As you already know, it is the only time an academic gets to profess what he knows or thinks without being questioned. though Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE was promoted to the professorial rank in 2019, it is today that he would celebrate this important personal milestone with a broad audience, including members of the public, family, friends, colleagues, both old and new. Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE will synthesize his scholarship and contribution to knowledge in his field of specialization, which is religion and environment, in the inaugural lecture captioned "The Nexus Between Religion and Environment, Matters Arising." Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE will deliver the lecture in a simplified manner so that individuals who do not belong to the same field with him would understand what he has come to say. Ladies and gentlemen, before Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE steps forward to deliver his inaugural lecture, permit me to read his profile. Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE is a professor of religion and environment in the Department of Religion and Human Values at the University of Cape Coast. Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE's professional expertise includes environmental ethics, religion and development, religion and medicine, and religion and politics. He was appointed as an assistant lecturer in 2003 to the Department of Religion and Human Values in the University of Cape Coast. He was upgraded to lecturer in 2005 and promoted to the rank of senior lecturer in 2010, associate professor in 2014, and professor in 2019. He has written and published 2 books, co-authored 2 others, 1 book review, and 2 encyclopedia entries. He has authored 23 articles in internationally esteemed scholarly journals and 15 book chapters. He has presented academic papers at several international conferences, some of which were at USA, UK, Israel, and the Netherlands. Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE has successfully supervised 2 PhD students. One of them is now a senior lecturer. He currently has 7 PhD students who are at different stages of their programs. He is the immediate past head of Department of Religion and Human Values at the University of Cape Coast. Prior to his appointment, Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE served as academic advisor to students in the department for several years and served as departmental registration and examination officer for 2 consecutive terms. Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE was appointed the head Department of Religion and Human Values in 2015. And by the time of leaving office in 2021, all the lecturers in the department had attained their terminal degrees, that is PhD. It is worthy to note that it was during his tenure as the HOD of the department, that the highest number of PhD students completed their programs. Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE initiated a collaboration between the department and the University of Groningen in the Netherlands. The collaboration led to the establishment of New Year School entitled Religion and Human Security in Africa, which attracted participants from 7 different countries. In addition, a week-long workshop was organized for postgraduate students in the department and was facilitated by a professor from the University of Groningen. He also served as the head of the Department of Classics and Philosophy for 1 academic year. Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE is a member of the following: Association for the Study of Literature and Environment, International Society for Environmental Ethics, International Association for the Study of Religion, Nature and Culture, ad hoc committee that drafted policy for naming of monuments in UCC. He has served as a member of the following: Advisory Board of the Counterpoint, Navigating Knowledge and Interdisciplinary Research Center and Information Hub based in Berlin, Germany. Advisory Board of the Cambridge Scholars Publishers in the UK. Board of National Commission on Culture. Board of Governors of the Edina Mines Senior High School. Finance Committee of Commander Edina AWUAH-NYAMEKYE Municipal Assembly. He has also served as the chairman of the following: Education Subcommittee of Commander Edina AWUAH-NYAMEKYE Municipal Assembly. Faculty of Arts, Research, Publication and Grant Sourcing Committee. He has been the coordinator for the following courses at the Institute of Education, University of Cape Coast since 2020. Environmental Ethics, Religion and Environment, African Religion and Health Management. He also serves as the course coordinator for Religion and Environment for the College of Distance Education, University of Cape Coast. He is currently serving as the editor of 3 journals in the Faculty of Arts of the University of Cape Coast, namely Asemka, Dramspeaks, Ogwa Journal of Religion and Human Values. He has been serving as reviewer for several academic journals and books across the globe. Notable among them are Politics and Religion, Climate and Development, Religion Compass, Ghana Journal of Education, Journal of Theology for Southern Africa, and Search Open. His scholarship extends to reviewing and assessing project proposals from reputable organizations and publishing houses outside Ghana. Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE has on many occasions served as external assessor for PhD theses and promotion of documents for senior lecturers and associate professors, both in Ghana and outside. He has been the University of Cape Coast representative on the Governing Council of West End University College, Kasua, and SDA College of Education as Asokore Koforidua. Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE was privileged to be among the few Africans, in fact the only Ghanaian, who was invited to submit a paper in honor of the late celebrated African scholar, philosopher, cum theologian, Emeritus Professor J.S. Mbiti of Kenya. In June 2013, Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE won the Best Abstract Award of $500 at the 10th Biennial Conference of the Association for the Study of Literature and Environment. In 2014, Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE was one of the 3 African experts in religion and environment nominated to attend a workshop under the theme Environmental Change and African Societies in Essen, Germany. Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE was born on 25th January 1962 at Biadan, near Brekum, to the late Daniel Date, aka Sie Kofi, and the late Mercy Akosua Kra, aka Mami Mercy, all of Biadan. He began his education at the Biadan Methodist School near Brekum. He had his secondary education at Brekum and Doma Secondary Schools. He was trained as a teacher in 1988 at the Brekum Training College, now Brekum College of Education. After teaching for 2 years at Brekum Training College, Demonstration Junior Secondary School, he wrote his A-level examination as private candidate and gained admission in the University of Cape Coast for his Bachelor of Arts degree and diploma in 1991. He did his national service in the Department of Religion and Human Values in 1996 and 1997 academic year. He enrolled for his MPhil degree and completed in 2002 in the same department. Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE was awarded Ghana government scholarship to pursue PhD program at the School of Philosophy, Religion, and History of Science of the University of Leeds in the United Kingdom in 2010. While at Leeds, he was awarded the prestigious Professor Adrian Hastings African Scholar Award for his academic excellence, an award with a cash prize of £6,000 sterling and a computer. He was appointed as an African ambassador by the University of Leeds African Studies Center. The purpose of this appointment was to give talk to the pupils in the primary schools to disabuse their minds on the negative perceptions about Africans. Presently, Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE is married to Madam Joyce Ifa, and he has 8 children. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Professor Chair. I'd welcome Mercy Achianu to give us a musical interlude as Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE prepares to deliver his inaugural lecture. Please help me welcome Mercy Achianu.
Yedauti kwemwa na yewatu marako Yesu una uyati naye we me free musumu we me free esanmu wa mameni mengwasi Onyame wa yemye ne wadoye dosu Yeda uti kwemwa na ye watu marakwa Yesu wana uyati naye wasi onyame wa yemye ne wadoye doso asedania yejum na yedibema o sayeshadia yeswe wadum doso anuntuminka wado yesu wado ye onyame wa yemye ne wadoye doso asedania yejum na yedibema wo sayeshadia yeswe wadum doso anuntuminka wado yesu wado ye wawa yebekata ye amamenyina tio yebetu aleluya amawudindenyina asidare wayem yesu wunkotona yedanuo onyame wa yemye ne wadoye doso asedani na yewudi Jesus makotamne nyame aye inyina yewudi Jesus makotamne mapan kasine o onyame doye doso wadum tina yetiasi asidani na yewudi Jesus yebekata yachiraman Jesus yebebodin urura dada yakutamni yaban kasine o.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to welcome our speaker for this afternoon. With a round of applause, help me welcome Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE as he speaks on the topic, the nexus between religion and environment, matters arising.
Thank you, Madam MC. I would like to start by saying that I associate myself with the protocol that has already been established by saying, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Prof. Chair, I would like to say that this lecture is dedicated to 4 people. 2 of them are my parents, and then the other 2, my ex-lecturers. My parents, Madame Mercy Akusi-Akra and Daniel Date of blessed memory, and Professor Christian Robert Gaba, who was my mentor. In fact, a friend, everything. He supervised me during the undergraduate and then the graduate level. And he advised me that, Nyamekye, I would like to prepare you in a way that editors would rather be asking you to submit papers, but not you finding editors to send your papers. And that has come true. And then the second person is the late Professor Osei, who was at the crisis department. He was my mentor. And in fact, after the mentorship, the friendship grew. And every move that I made in this university, I have to consult him. When I was going outside, I consulted him. And it's unfortunate he's not here today to see his son rising to this level. It's unfortunate. But God knows what is good. Prof. Chair, my interest in religion or the environmental issues started from when I was a kid, because I grew up in an area where there was forest. Unfortunately, all of a sudden I saw that the forest was going away. And my daddy was also a serious cocoa farmer. We went to the farm and he would be teaching us names of trees, their uses, everything. So at that tender age, I had the interest in environmental issues. And at the secondary school level, the courses I did, geography, agricultural science. Fortunately, I had 2 agricultural science teachers. I started at the Brekum Secondary School. Our agriculture teacher was very good. He reduced the thing to our level, and then I moved to Doma Secondary School. Fortunately, I also met another one who was excellent. In fact, we used to call him Akinsami, because in those days, Akinsami was the most popular agric textbook. The teacher was called Mark K. He would come to the classroom without any textbook, but he would lecture when you go and compare with Akinsami, the same thing. So we developed the interest there. Then geography, I was also very good at geography, and I did economics. At the A level, I did A level economics, geography, and religion. So I had 2 areas, that is social science or arts, that I can fit in. But at our time, getting admission in the social science was very, very competitive. You need to get below aggregate 10. Unfortunately, I did my A level privately, and I had aggregate 12. So I bought 2 forms, one for social science and one for arts faculty. And I got admission at the arts faculty area, and I read religion. When I decided to do the MPhil, I still have my interest in the environment. So I decided to do ecotourism. So I went to Kekum and I read about ecotourism and got some information. On the day of the interview at the social science, one professor there was the chairman of the interview. He asked me, "Gentlemen, you were TA at religious studies department. Why do you want here in social science?" I tried to explain, but I did my best. But my best for them wasn't enough. And I have to come back to my religious studies to do my religion. And what I decided to do was that, yes, I will do religion, yet I will try and incorporate environmental issues in it. And Prof. J, I have to be honest with you, I have never regretted this because it is through this that I'm here today. And environmental issues are topical. I have been in the US alone 8 times without paying a penny. I'll be there. Can you come and talk? Can you come and... Well, because of this. And now I am a full professor in religion and environment, if you like, ecology, because at times it's called religion and ecology. And I must say that I stand to be corrected, but from my checks, I think I am the only full professor in this field in the country. Because the rest I know, they are associate professors. Yes. Then to my topic today, Prof. J. The motivation for this is that religion and environment, or religion and ecology, has been with us for over 5 decades. Yet people seem not to understand it. I'm saying this because of personal experience. Anytime that I tell people that my area of study is religion and environment, their faces will tell me that they are somehow confused. When I went to Leeds, they have a norm that the whole department will meet and every student will, after mentioning your name, your course. When I mentioned that my area of study was religion and environment, they said, Sam, what do you mean by this? But when I started to explain, then I saw that they were nodding their head, meaning that they already know it, but they were not conscious. And Prof. J, I know some of you here also may have the same thing, but I can assure you, after my speech or my lecture, you will see that you know it, only that you are not being conscious of what I'm talking about. Yeah. Please move the slides for me. Yes. The presentation formula, the format, is in the introduction. I've already done it. Then conceptual clarification of terms, the analysis between religion and environment, current status of Ghana's environment, highlight of some of my publications, the role of religion in salvaging nature, matters arising, then conclusion, then I'll give some recommendations. This I'll pass here. I've already dealt with this. Yes. Yes. Conceptual clarifications. Yes. First, religion. Yes, everybody seems to know religion, but when we ask, what is religion? Then you see the reality. Because there's no unanimity over what the entity called religion is. Why? Because the entity itself has 2 dimensions. The physical one, or the tangible one, and then the spiritual or the intangible dimension. As for the physical one, you know it. At least you can see people making sacrifices, rituals here and there. But the other one, the spiritual aspect, that's where the problem is. So people see it from their own perspective, from their own background. That can be seen from the sociological point of view. Theologists will also say, define from their own perspective. Philosophers will do the same. Scientists will do the same. And then psychologists also do the same. In view of the confusion, what is this? Sorry, Prof. J. Andy, please. Yes. Because of the confusion, Idowu summarizes it in this way. He said, by now, everybody who is seriously engaged in the study of religion has been convinced that to attempt a definition of religion is an almost impossible, if not altogether impossible task. And every serious scholar on it is on the verge of giving up the task. In view of this, Elizabeth Nottingham said that he suggested that religion calls for a description rather than a definition. So what one can say is that you can say there is a definition and not the definition. Please mind the articles. There is a definition, but not the definition. So, Prof. Chair, we can now, what we can say that we can proceed a working definition. And I have some here which I'm going to send you through. One of them, Rudolf Otto, he said religion is the feeling of the presence of the holy order. And then Tyler also said religion is the belief in spiritual beings. Pali and Wadak see religion as an entity that regulates the life of the individual in society, thereby making the society good for harmonious living. Tunde Famoriti defines religion as a systematic indoctrination of people aimed at moderating their mode of behavior towards responsible interaction and social growth. In this lecture, however, I would adopt the definition of Tyler, because majority of the believers here, that is how they conceptualize the entity we call religion to be. But, Prof. Chair, religion, irrespective of the non-conceptual definition or the unanimity of definition on it, the fact still remains that religion can influence people both negatively and positively. And this means that it can be used for our purpose. Then the second key term is environment. Hannigan says that the term environment is a fluid concept which is both culturally grounded and socially contested. Artfield says not everyone means the same thing when they speak of environment. But in this context, when I say environment, I mean as observed by Oson Tukun, that human beings and their surroundings, including the life support provided by air, water, land, animals, and the entire ecosystem, of which human beings are but a part. Then the trajectory of the nexus between religion and environment or ecology. I have to say that, Prof. Chair, in the modern times, the nexus between religion and environment can be traced to Len White. He wrote a book and titled his article, The Historical Roots of Our Ecological Crisis, in 1967. And he sought to blame Christianity for the whole environmental crisis. Well, according to him, it is Christianity that is creating the environmental crisis. And these are the words he used. He said that he based his argument on Genesis 1:27 to 28. He said, let us make man in our own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. And God said to them, be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over birds of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon it. He went further to say that the Christian dogma of creation, which is found in the first clause of all the creeds, has another meaning for our comprehension of today's ecological crisis. He goes further to state that by destroying paganism, animism, Christianity made it possible to exploit nature in a mood of indifference to the feelings of natural objects. He ends by saying that God's image, especially in the Western form of Christianity, is the most anthropocentric religion the world has ever seen. Prof. Immediately, Len White brought his thesis. There was an uproar. So Christians saw that it was an attack on them. So they started, Christians, scientists, and those who had interest in it, started combing through the Bible to isolate the verses that has something to do with environment. And they used that to counter Len White's thesis. But Len White's thesis is very important when we are talking about religion and ecology, because it actually gave an impetus to people. People gained interest in it. And as a result, people started writing all over it. And then there was a literature, a component of literature, which has today become known as environmentalism. Environmentalism, that is the result of this man's thesis. I've said this, yes. But he also ended by saying that since religion is the cause, it's also part of the problem, solution. So he didn't rule out the importance of religion in the whole system. Then another point, when we are talking about religion and environment, you cannot ignore is the Assisi meeting. In 1986, the World Fund for Nature, the Worldwide Fund for Nature, celebrated its 25th anniversary, and they chose the Italian city of Assisi as the conference area under the auspices of its president, His Royal Highness Prince Philip of Edinburgh. And as part of the program, they invited 5 world religions: Christianity, Islam, Buddhism, Hinduism, and then Judaism. They invited them to come to the meeting and then tell the world what they are doing to actually help to conserve or prevent environmental degradation. And all that they said there has now become known as the Assisi Declarations. I will send you through them one after the other. And the impact of that meeting, Prof. Chair, said the meeting led to the creation of a network of faith groups working on ecological and developmental issues. Then the creation of Alliance for Religion and Conservation, based in Manchester, UK, that was founded in 1995. Then by 1995, Baha'i, Daoism, Jainism, and Sikhism had also made their declarations on nature conservation. The Forum on Religion and Ecology, which was announced at the United Nations in 1998, was embedded in the Yale Forum on Religion and Ecology. Then another issue is that other faith eco-bias organizations have also been set up due to the meeting and then the debate. Then there have been a series of conferences that are organized on a yearly basis on the theme that border on religion and environmental issues. Then now a lot of books have been written and academic journals have also come up. And the leading ones, the journals, we can talk of Journal for the Study of Religion, Nature and Culture, and then Nature and Culture, Worldview, Global Religion, Culture and Ecology. This one I serve on the board. Then, Prof. Chair, I will now move to some of the highlights of my publication. 2019, Climate Change and Indigenous Akan Regiocultural Practice, Lesson for Policymakers and Implementers in Environmental Conservation in Ghana. This paper was presented at a workshop in Germany, and later on we were asked to bring the paper for publication. What I did was I used their Akan, some of their agricultural practices, and then the sacred grove, and then the something we call ape and proka. The ape is after you have cleared the land and you are going to do the burning, you will create a buffer where when you burn, the fire will not extend to the areas that they are not part of the farm. And this one, if the place is near an important thing, friends are gathered to go and help so that they are able to continue, so that they reduce the damage of that burning. Then the proka is where, after clearing the land, they don't burn the slashes, but rather they wait. When the first rain comes, then they will plant the crops through it, and then the leaves will get rotten and then supply fertilizer to the land. And then the food there, they grow very fast. And then there's a regeneration too, because of not using fire. And the termites, the worms, and others are not disturbed. They are all intact. And this helps in carbon formation, which is very, very important in climate action. When I sent the paper, Prof. Chair, I was told that the findings were so beautiful and they are scientific, and that I needed to support them with scientific references. Then I told them that because I have acknowledged some of my interviewees, those I got information from, their names were there. Then I told them I'm not prepared to distort my data. So if they are not happy with it, they should leave my paper out. And then they left it. They didn't publish it. I sent it to Worldviews, and they published it, and now receiving a lot of citation. So at times, you see, so the racism is still everywhere. They think that the African has no capacity to think that way, because that is, I should get agriculturists a view to support. I said, please, if you like, come to my place. I will go with you to the indigenous people, and they will tell you more than what I'm telling you. During the data gathering stage, a man told me that he will be able to dip the hand into the soil and taste it, and he'll be able to tell you what crop will do well there. So he has a laboratory. The tank is now the laboratory. Yes. They know what they are about, but we don't. Yes. Yes. Then the second one, the role of religious education and environmental conservation in Ghana. This one, what I did was that how religion can be taught in such a way that they will be able to incorporate a sense of environmental consciousness into the youth. Because if we're able to do that, then all that we are doing, the suffering we are we are going through will be minimized, because from scratch, they will understand that they need to conserve the environment. And if they get this concept, then we will go places. Then another one is Christianization of Africa and its effect on the local environmental management. The case study from Ghana. Prof. Chair, here what I did was that I tried to look at the impact that Christianity has made on indigenous way of conserving the environment. And it was terrible, because the missionaries divinized the indigenous mechanism for conserving the environment. And as at now, it is ongoing. It's going on. In fact, I must add that, Prof. Chair, that today there's some change, because some of the Pentecostalists, they are trying to revise their theology to accept some of the indigenous ways of conserving nature. And that is very, very good. Then the number 4 one, I did it with a colleague, Professor Safu Mensah. In fact, he's the chief of where we have the Agri College at Bantama. Is that no? Kwada, so yes, he's the chief there. This man, I met him on net. He and Professor Odro at Tech. I saw that we are in the same field, so I wrote to them. I was in Leeds at that time, that I wanted them to go through my papers and make some correction before I sent them for publication. So when I sent the first paper, the second day, Professor Safu Mensah called me and said that, please, I would want to co-author you in our future. Not what we have brought, but in the future. And Prof, we had 5 articles together. Meanwhile, we have never met. He was in Ghana and I was in UK. We had 5 articles. Yes, that is Nana Gold. Yes, 5 articles. And when I came to Ghana, I have to find him, and then we met in Kumasi. Yes. Prof. Chair, let me move on to the next point, because do we need religion in our fight against the ecological problems of today? And my answer to this question, Prof. Chair, is a big yes. A big yes, because secular means have not been able to resolve the issue. Legislation and policies have not yielded the desired results. So we need to look somewhere. And that somewhere is religion and environment. With its close sister, environmental ethics. The environmental ethics, their main concern is that religion too has a problem. Policy is not helping. Legislation is not helping. So let's appeal to people's conscience. And ethics is the study of in respect of the goodness or badness, rightness or wrongness of human conduct. That's the basis for environmental ethics, which is also one of my areas. The big yes is just 3 days ago, or just 2 days ago, the chief executive for the environment gave some statistics, but it was the tip of an iceberg. Because I was there listening to, what is this man? I will give you some slides. For instance, records show that original forest cover of Ghana was estimated to comprise approximately 36% of the country's land mass, but was reduced to 23% by 1972, 13% in 1990, 10% in 2000. So you can imagine what the situation will be now. He gave a situation, I thought that, because I asked someone, so yeah, that was something else, because the physically you can know from your area that you see the forest has reduced. Meanwhile, he was saying it has appreciated. I was very worried that the forest has appreciated. Say, wow. I want to come home. My home country, this statistics was given on the during 2011 World Environmental Day, which was held near my place in Brekum at Kato. The forest, Payemu Brekum Forest Reserve was established in 1932 with a total area of 189 kilometers square. The forest area in 1990 had been reduced to 91 kilometers square, a loss of 98 kilometers in 58 years. And in 2000, it has been reduced to 1 kilometer square, a loss of 90 kilometers a kilometer square in just 10 years. In the other instance, the TVUCC is at Asidun-Katias area, that's Ekwa area. Reserve was established in 1934 with a total area of 509 kilometers square. The forest area in 1990 has been reduced to 451 kilometers square. That's a loss of 58 kilometers in 56 years. And in 2000, it has been reduced to just 108 kilometers square, a loss of 343 kilometers square in just 10 years. What the commissioner didn't tell us is that from Forestry Commission records, we have lost Bia Toya Forest. That's near Bonsunkwanta. We have lost the Sukusuku Forest at the Sukusuku area, Manzai Forest Reserve at Isem, and then Tano Uhuru Forest in Enchi. We have lost that. Bodi Forest Reserve, half is gone. Then Greenbelt Forest in Obuasi, half of it is gone. Then Terminal Water West Forest Reserve, part of it, we have the stadium there. That is the forest reserve. Yes. And then people will be surprised that Kumasi Town Forest, Ahojo ran about through City Hotel area, both sides lost. They were part of the National Reserve. And somebody was telling me his area that has also been lost. Then Ejekum Hene and Copson in 2011, in their research, they said that there have been a significant rise in greenhouse gases emission in Ghana. And this has put Ghana, the nation, into a net emitter of greenhouse gases bracket. And it has therefore become necessary for us to embark on low carbon development strategy. So, Prof. Chair, these are some of the issues. And you know what has happened now, Garamsey and rest, we are still losing our environment. The degradation is seriously having its toll on us. Then I ask, how does religion come in, or what role can religion play in dealing with this albatross on our neck? Then now I'm going to use the three religions to explain how we can use them to deal with our environmental issues. First, the African religion and environment. Ontologically, traditional people believe that human beings were not just brought here, but were brought here in a way that we live in harmony with nature. So this means that environmental consciousness is part of African indigenous people. And if you like, the indigenous people across. The following statement from a traditional ruler tells us all that in God's creation, there are things that can be used, or that, if you like, destroyed, and others that cannot be used. So the destruction of such things constitutes a sin. Even those that can be used have the right time for their use. Anything short of this is considered as a sin in our tradition. This is to ensure that we make sustainable use of natural resources. They have this there. And in addition, traditional Africans also ascribe sacredness to certain creatures and thus have respect for them. For instance, land, seas, rivers, animals, trees, mountains, what have you. My machine is disturbing me. Yes. These are the actual mechanisms they use. their attitude towards land and rivers. For the traditional African, land is considered to be a goddess that in the spiritual realm, such as rivers, and for that matter, they are treated with reverence. There are certain things you cannot do to rivers. Some time ago, even if they give you a plot near a river bed, you will even be afraid to go there. I got to my hometown, our main river, Kra. Now Pentecost people, it's almost about 30 meters to the channel. They have built their church there. Yes. Yes. And then another one is a sacred grove. The sacred grove are patches of land that immediately they pronounce that it's a sacred grove, it's no-go area. You cannot go there without permission. Yes. And this also means that all the biodiversity in it are preserved because you cannot get there. In those days, they don't need police. We didn't have police people, military, or forest guards. But immediately Nana will say from this Odum to that Wawa to this river to a sacred grove, that's all. Everybody was a policeman or woman because they were checking on the others. At the end of the month, nobody will pay anything. Today we have the forest commission people, forest, the police, the military, whatever. The reserve people are entering into it. People are mining in it. People are setting traps. They are hunting in it. Where at that time, no penny, nothing at all. By word of mouth, because the traditionalists believe that Nananum were the earthly representatives of the ancestors. So anything that came from their mouth, they know it is coming from Nananum. So if you go contrary to it, you have a problem. And that was able to sustain the society. Unlike today, where we say we are now civilized. Yes. We are civilized. In those days, they were living in mud houses with that, yes. And then the door, you know the door, it was only the asrende, what the cocoa farmers used to, is that you will leave your place 3 months, nobody will enter. If somebody even enters, whatever he takes after that, he will just send it back. Today we say we are civilized. You will be on your motorbike, and because of a phone, somebody, if you are not careful, you are dead. They will finish you. We are civilized. Yes. Today, we don't regard elders. In those days, when you see an elderly person coming, you will just wake up from your seat and give it. Today, he will tell you, I was here, I only went and urinated. So, that is the situation now. That's the situation now, Prof. Chair. Yes. Then they believe in totemism. Totems. The totems are believed to be either a plant or an animal that has something to do with their ancestors. And that plant or animal is treated with reverence. It is part of them. They don't destroy it. Yes. And we have a lot of totems amongst ourselves. And it was a way of trying to conserve or preserve the environment or the nature. Then there's also another belief, what we call Sasa. Sasa is believed to be inhibiting in either animal or plants. It's some sort of tumi power that resides in that plant or animal. And because of that, people fear to get closer to that. If you have heard of Tromo, and there's a popular Akan proverb that so ubekus Tromo edware sasadrodie one fan man to sem enante kwayase. So hunters, when they meet that, they don't want to have any problem with it. And then you know of Homachem that you dare not go near it, because if you go, you know the consequences and all sort of things. These are means of trying to conserve nature. Yes, and we have sacred days that we don't go to this place on Wednesday or on Tuesday or so and so. They have that. The Fantas will say Asase Fua, and then the Tree people will say Asase Ya. Yes. And within a community, you may have some patches of land that this one, we don't go there this day, or we don't do this. Even here, they say Tuesdays, you don't go to fish. It's also part of the sacred days things I'm talking about. Tuesday, how many sacred days in respect of the sea? 52 weeks will make 1 year. So it means we have 52 clear days for the sea to rest. So you can see the impact. You see, Nananom, they are not so useless to quote and unquote as people think. They know, because they know anything that you add region to it will succeed. I will come to matters arising. That's where I will point out a lot of things, Prof. Chair. Then tree planting was also another way. You see that we call the Jenny loci, where a plant will be used as a foundation stone for a community. And that tree is protected. It's not destroyed at all. And then for beautification, I quite don't know where case the street, the principal streets of the villages have trees all planted. I quite remember in our hometown, Biadain, we had them when during the electrification, then they chopped all of them off. Yes. Some of our kids, other than that, would have protested. Yeah. Yes. Then let me move to Christianity, Prof. Chair. Yes. What I'm going to do here is I am using what they said at Assisi as their blueprint for conserving nature, the Christians. So I'm going to take my time and go through. At Assisi meeting was led by Father Lanfranco Serini, Minister General, the Order of Reals Minor Conventual, and he made the following declarations on behalf of Christians on nature conservation. First, he said, God created nothing unnecessarily and omitted nothing that is necessary. Declaration 2, even in the mutual opposition of the various elements, one of the universe, there is a divine harmony. The different forms of existence of beings and the purpose of their existence leads to the beauty of the universe towards state of perfection. Declaration 4. Man has been given the greatest responsibility because he has been entrusted with the dominion over other beings and their safeguard. Remember, I said when Leon White wrote, now have you seen, dominion is qualified with safeguard. And some of the biblical, the new versions, they have removed dominion. The word dominion has been taken out. Subdue it is off. The new translations, because they know it's creating problem. Then, Declaration 5. But throughout history, man has committed many injustices, has dominated and exploited nature to the point of not living in harmony with creation. You see, this is one of the effects of Leon White's thesis. And there's something I forgot to tell you, Prof. Chair. Leon White, when he brought his thesis and there was confusion, he boasted that with just a stroke of pen, I have created confusion in Christendom. He was boasting. Yes, now, because he brought, this was in 1967, and this was 1986. See how Christians have revised the thing to suit it nicely. Please, Prof. Chair, I'm not saying Christianity is an anti-environmental religion at all. But the point is that the practitioners, and that's the problem, misinterpretation. Yes, that is what should be the case. Not that the religion itself is anti. Because when you go through the Bible, a lot of verses are there that actually support environmental conservation and preservation. And then the sixth one, they said, Christians repudiate all human activities that lead to wars, discrimination, and destruction of cultures, and that do not respect the true interests of humanity, and therefore do not allow men to fulfill their vocation within the harmony of the universe. And as I said, this gentleman, Calvin DeWitt, was a zoologist cum theologian. for instance, contest that the Bible contains divinely inspired wisdom about creation. And if we pay attention to this text, we can learn to relate to other creatures as God's intent. He argues that authority over things belongs to the author of those things. We have no authority to destroy what we ourselves did not create. Destruction of a grand master's work by its onlooker, beholder, or curator may be a disgrace to their creator. He uses the biblical passage on Behemoth, which according to him refers to the hippopotamus in Job 40, 15 to 24 to illustrate his point. For instance, in Job 40, 19, we find these words. It is the first of the great acts of God. Only its maker can approach it with the sword. You see, when you see this is similar to the traditional leaders' quotation I quoted, that in our tradition, it is a sin to destroy things that you are not supposed to destroy. And even those that we can use, we have a limit. We must use them judiciously. So different forms of existence of beings and the purpose of their existence leads to the beauty of the universe towards state of... Oh, I think I'm repeating. Sorry. Yes, and then by these words, it is clear that human beings are not supposed to kill the hippopotamus. And explaining further, he said, in biblical Christianity, the value of creatures derives ultimately from their utility, market price, cuteness, or charm. Instead, their value derives from their creator. And all things owe their life and breath to their creator, who not only has created them and declared them good, but also sustained them through divine love and power. That is, it is not the utility that is important. That this is ugly, so we must shun it. I don't like it. You don't have to do that. Rather, the creator must be the word, the main key word that should influence you. The Bible, which is the authoritative book of the Christians, indeed contains... Yes. Contains a lot of injunctions, such as the one found in Deuteronomy 23, 12 to 14. Then you shall designate an area outside the camp to which you shall go with your utensil. You shall have a trowel. When you relieve yourself outside, you shall dig a hole with it and cover your excrement. Therefore, your camp must be holy, so that he may not see anything indecent among you and turn away from you. That is, even when you nature's call, you have to dig a hole and cover it. Instruction given to the Israelites during the Exodus period. Yes, so this is a clear indication. So with this, in Genesis 2:15, God placed man in the Garden of Eden and gave him the mandate to work on the land and to take care of it. With this biblical mandate, Christians believe that man should be blamed for any mismanagement of the environment that is likely to cause air pollution, water pollution, land pollution, erosion, population explosion, overcrowding in the cities, and problem of waste disposal, among others. And as I said, also the theology of Apostle Paul has a clear basis for ecological implication. Those in New Testament, when you go through the theology of Apostle Paul, you see that he is in for environmental preservation and conservation. And Prophet, one important Christian group that actually adopt conservationist attitude is the Seventh-day Adventists. They base all their things on Leviticus chapter 11. And they don't eat a lot of things. Games, bat, monkeys, hawk, any carnivorous animal, the SDAs don't take it. They don't eat all type of fishes. Only the scaleless fish they don't take. Only the one with scale. So you see that they are actually helping to preserve the environment. They must be commended. Yes. 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 Today they have adopted green environment ideas and have been planting trees and caring for them in many communities across the country. And today, about 40 Roman Catholic groups in countries including Australia, South Africa, and the United States are sharing investment in fossil fuel and switching to green energy. So you know, associate declarations are working because they have been conscientized. And now, my own church, Methodist, we have every year a week is dedicated for talking about the environment. Yes, and Pentecostals are doing same. And now many religious groups are using soundproof worship centers, planting trees, using energy bulbs and other things to make sure that they don't destroy the environment further. Prof. Chair, I'll move to Islam. And again, I also use what they said at Assisi as the basis for asking Muslims to be environmentally conscious. Muslims gave credence to this result, the top one. Islam is a religion that enjoins the faithful to respect creation and protect it and avoid any activity that will be injurious to other beings. This belief is informed by two main sources of Islamic instructions on the environment. These are the Quran and then the Hadith. Yes. And at Assisi, they extended this to the Worldwide Fund in the foreign West. In fact, that delegation was led by His Excellency Dr. AWUAH-NYAMEKYE, the Secretary General of Muslim World League, among others, presented the following. So for the Muslim, mankind's role on earth is that of a caliph. In fact, I'm quoting what they said there. That's why I put them in there. We are God's stewards and agents on earth. We are not masters of this earth. It does not belong to us to do what we wish. It belongs to God, and He has entrusted it with its safekeeping. Our function as vice regents, that's Khalifa of God, is only to oversee the trust. The second point, we have created over you 7 heavens, and we are not careless of the creation. And we send down water from the heaven in due degree, and we cause it to settle on earth, and we have the power for its weight. And the following themes are also used to illustrate the responsibility of Muslims. For instance, they must relate to humans and other beings in the nature and nature in general. For instance, they hate cruelty, wastefulness, and they also plant trees. Yeah, cruelty. Muslims are simply saying that you do not have to be cruel. Even if you kill an animal, you use a well-sharpened implement so that the pain will not be too much. That's why they are noted the butchers, their implement, very sharp, with one stroke, then the head of the cow is down. Yes. Yeah, and then God has prescribed the doing of good towards everything. So when you kill, kill with goodness. And when you slaughter, slaughter with goodness. Let each one of you sharpen his blade, and let him give ease to the animal he is slaughtering. This is the hadith. Then hunting and fishing for food is permitted in Islam. However, the Prophet cares anyone who uses living creature as a target, taking a life for mere sport, where you can animal will be engaged for them to fight another. Islam is totally against that. And then he also prescribed inciting animals to fight one another, as I've just said. He frowned upon tiring of animals and shooting them with arrows. Very, very cruel. Then wastefulness. Islam detests wasting of natural resources, and several Quranic texts and hadiths are clear on this. For instance, it is in the Quran that the righteous are those who, when they spend, do so not excessiveness or sparingly, but are ever between that. Moderate. Do not spend wastefully. Quran 17:26. Then 17:27 condemns wastefulness in strong words. Indeed, the wasteful are brothers of the devils, and ever has Satan been to his Lord ungrateful. These are warnings. Yes. And it was reported that by Sahid that of somebody overusing water, that he was just overusing water, and he said, please, you don't have to do that. If you have river running behind your house, the ablution is 3 times. You don't have to go beyond. If you go beyond 3 times, you are abusing, and the Holy Prophet is against that. Yes. And there was a time the Holy Prophet advised his companions on the need to protect the environment in which they live, and even encouraged them to plant trees. It said that he instructed his companions to desist from the old practice in which a victor had to destroy everything in the land of the vanquished, including cutting down all trees in the area. The underlisted hadith also confirmed Israel's interest in tree planting. Anas bin Malik reports that the Prophet, as having said, it is charitable donation when a Muslim plants a tree or grows crop, and the birds, humans, cattle eat from it. Number 2, if the day of resurrection comes upon everyone, or upon any one of you, while he has a seedling in his hand, let him plant it. Wait on resurrection, if you have a seed, plant it before you go to heaven or wherever you want to go to. Yes. And then the first caliph of Islam, Abu Bakr, is reported by the Bayhaqi as warning the Muslim army against cutting trees. Yeah, I will skip this because cutting trees have been dealt with. Yes, and as I said, today, religious groups are using energy-saving bulbs. They plant trees at their worship areas, soundproof, and they avoid fusel something. Then, Prophet, the second part of my presentation, the matters arising. The matters arising, some people have critiqued the ways religious people use to conserve nature. And I'm going to go through the critique and also pass some comment on them. First one is a dynamism in religio-cultural values and their effects on using religio-cultural means to combat environmental problems. What they are saying is that if you use religio-cultural means to deal with the environmental problems, and there is a change in that, it means you have problems. If you believe in sacred growth and people lose interest in sacred growth, this is what they are saying. But the point is, dynamism is part of almost every phenomenon. Yes, but when there is a change, Prophet, the core values are usually not touched. but you dance around it to make use of what can be done to suit the present, but you don't touch the core value. For instance, African region superficially seem to be going down. But when we are hot, what do? Our MPs are either Christians or Muslims. But during primaries, they will give money and say, swear by this, that you vote for me. Have you seen it? Sorry, I have my MP here. MP, I'm not talking about you. That's the truth. When the African is, everything goes on with the African, he is a Christian or a Muslim. When things get, you go back to his root. You go back to his root. So what I'm saying is that, yes, it is true that dynamism can change things, but it will not damage it completely. The effect can be there, yet it won't lose it completely. Then, another criticism is that all that religious people do and result in conserving the environment is not the result of a resolve of the people that they want to conserve but rather they're only practicing their religion, and the resultant has been that we have got protection from it. So they are saying that the conservational values in the religious practices are not the manifest result, but rather the latent. I hope you get what I'm trying to put across. That you're only serving your object of worship, and as a result, something good is coming out of it. But Prof. Chair, should the emphasis be on this? Because at the end of it, or the bottom line is that we want to conserve. So if an activity has enabled us to conserve, should we be debating on this? It is not the issue of the hen and then the egg, that which came first. Whether it is the hen or the egg, the point is that at the end of it all, we are able to get protein in our diet. That is what should be our main concern. The emphasis shouldn't be debating whatever, but the point is that. But at the same time, I can also argue that some have conservational, they have consciousness, as I quoted first. Because in my village, there was a forest called Kwenjemire Forest. In those days, so many years, you cannot go hunting in this forest all the year round. At that time, where game was all over, plenty, yet you can't go to that, meaning they have conservational attitude. Let's take, for instance, your Fosu Lagoon here. There is a time that they will place a ban on it. You get a point? They place that. Meanwhile, they will say that in those days, it's not centuries. This practice has been there. It was not about 2 years or 3 years that they invented it. It has been there when fishes were in abundance. But they saw that one day there will be the need to preserve it. But they added religion to it for it to abide. Because anything that religion is added, people are ready to obey it, and it will suffice. Then they said sacred groves, they are small in nature, and for that matter, their effect is not significant. But I beg to differ, Prof. Chair, because sacred groves, some are big. The one in Kato, Prof, our place, the fence is 600 hectares. And then we have Priscilla 1, 52.66 hectares. Yes. And you can know the effect of this. And some villages or communities, they may have as many as 10 sacred groves. So cumulatively, they can be effective in climate action, rainfall. Yes. My area, River Kra, there's a grove, the Kra Grove. We have never experienced our roofs being ripped off after rain because they serve as windbreak. So yeah, that we have never experienced after rain that all our roofs are gone at all. So they have to come again. Aside that, sacred groves they have high biological diversity. And research has shown that 1 hectare can contain as many as 200 species within just 1 hectare. So you can imagine. And then they serve as a sanctuary for rare or threatened species. You can't go there. They are protected. And site for protecting fresh water. Mostly, sacred groves, they seem to be the water, the source of the river. You go there and see where the water takes its source. So protected. And you are telling us, Nananum, they don't know what they are about. Please. They perfectly knew what they were about. At times I become very embarrassed when I hear such things. We say we are now civilized. Please. How many proverbs have we been able to develop? All the proverbs we are using today were developed by those we claim they were not civilized. They were far, far, far ahead of us. Only that we have not taken our time to study Nananum in details. Then, problem of using religion means of solving our environmental problems. Disrespect for other religions, as I've said, some say, oh, it's adultery. If you succumb to that, then you are not a Christian or you are not a Muslim. That is killing us. And as I said, fortunately, now they are revising their theologies to incorporate that into there. And then tagging them as unscientific. They say, traditional people's way of doing things is not scientific. What is science? I've just told you that somebody uses the tongue as a laboratory. He will test it and say, pineapple will do well here. They don't have terms called this is alkaline water, but they know. When I investigated climate change, they didn't have the term climate change, but they will be describing the thing and you know they are talking about nothing but climate change. They know. They don't have the Western terms, yet they know how to go about it, which we have to examine carefully. Then, Prof. Chair, conclusion. Yes. Prof. Chair, up to this time, I believe that you have now appreciated the fact that there is a link between religion and environment. And what we need to do is to continue to investigate further to unearth the best ways of integrating religious ecological values into that of science so that we can holistically resolve our environmental problems. Then I have some recommendations. The first thing is that I want to quote a Kenyan lady, Madame Wangari Maathai, who won the Nobel Peace Prize in 2004. He said that you cannot protect the environment unless you empower people. You inform them and you help them understand that these resources are their own, that they must protect. This cause is in line with the stewardship that Christianity, Islam, and African religion are talking about. And to achieve this, I recommend that on every sacred day, such as Anakwesidae, Nananum should remind their subjects of the need to conserve our environment. And pastors, preachers, what have you, should try and devote at least 5 minutes of their allotted time for preaching to talk about the environment on every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Prof. I believe that this can go a long way to affect the environment positively. To me, the impact of this will be far greater than the annual week declared by some religious denomination to do environmental cleaning and talk about the environment. And again, other believers, particularly Christians and Muslims, should liaise with the traditional authorities to discuss how they can collectively conserve or preserve the environment in a sustainable way, rather than tagging one's way of conserving nature as idolatry. What I would want to say at this point is that all that I have said up to this point has implication, yes, for policy making, particularly in fighting environmental degradation in the country. And this is a fact that religious practitioners are in the majority in this country. Therefore, it is prudent that government factors in the input from these religious organizations when designing any policy, which is mostly science-driven, to deal with the self-inflicted environmental albatross we find on our necks today. And again, measures should be put in place to integrate religious environmentalism and its closest subfield, environmental ethics, into our educational curriculum for the youth to appreciate the need to conserve nature. What I must add is that all hands must be on deck in this fight against the current environmental challenges we are facing. And I would want to end my lecture with two take-home messages, which are: when we heal the environment, we heal ourselves. And preaching or talking about God without reference to the well-being of the environment is a disservice to God and humanity. And anything short of this is ungodly. Thank you for having time to listen to me.
Thank you very much, Prof. I think he deserves another round of applause. I would invite Mercy Achianu from the Department of Music to give us another musical interlude. After that, Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE would make a few acknowledgements, and then the College of Professors would perform a very brief but very significant ceremony here, and that will be the robing. Please help me welcome Mercy Achianu.
Wotumipnu womatamfuenim womamikrua yamebusu wode womoja natilmehu
Thank you very much. Mercy Achiano is with the Department of Music and Dance, University of Cape Coast. I'll call on Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE to make a few acknowledgements if he has any. Please help me welcome him back on stage.
Thank you, Madam. Yes. First of all, I would like to thank the Vice Chancellor of our university and his management team for giving me the opportunity to celebrate this day today. I'm very, very grateful. Then the next one goes to Nana Omaihene of AWUAH traditional area. And Nana Aposika, they're always around. That is good. Because this is your land and you are always with us. We appreciate that. Then the president of College of Professors of this university and members who are here present to support their brother. Then the next one goes to Honorable Jessina Owusu-Banahene, the regional minister for Bono, who happens to be my student. I'm supervising her in the PhD. Yes. And then the Dean, Faculty of Arts, and staff of Faculty of Arts who are here with us. Then my acting HOD, Dr. Vincent Asamfo, and the lecturers of my department, Department of Religion and Human Values, and the staff. Then the next one goes to the chair of the council, governing council of SDA College of Education at Asokore, Ikofodua, Pastor Dr. Titi Okran. Prof. Doctor, please, if you can, for them to see you. And the team that accompanied, there are 7 in number from Kofodia. In fact, they were the first to be here. They were around 12:30, they were here. Thank you for coming. The next goes to Professor Odro, the rector of West End University College at Kaswa, and all the other members of the Board of Governors who accompanied Professor Odro to this place to celebrate the day with me. I'm very, very grateful. Then I am also very grateful to Professor Oben Ofori, the Vice Chancellor of the Catholic University at Fairplay, and who happens to be the chairperson of the Brekum Citizens Association. So with my chairman here, it means Brekum people are here. Prof. Yeah. Then my own, I would say, senior brother, everything, Professor Ado Oben, our former VC, and also former president of the Presbyterian University at Abitifin. Thank you, Prof. The next thanks go to Honorable Samuel Atta Mills, the MP for Commander Edna Eguafo Abrim. My MP, please show by hand for them to see you. Yes, he's the junior brother of our former president, the late Professor Atta Mills. Then my own colleague, in fact, we were amazed. We came here in 1991 and completed the undergraduate, and we were three. We were appointed to do the TA-ship here. And we did the masters together. I'm more or less a family friend. I'm talking of nobody than our honorable, the Mustafa Hamid, the chairperson, the CEO of the National Petroleum Authority. For Mustafa, you know him. Then I'm also grateful to Pastor Yamwa, the head pastor and elders and other members of Christ Apostolic Church at Elmina, who are also here to celebrate the day with me. Pastor, God bless you. Then I'm also grateful to Reverend Dr. Mills Owu, the head pastor of Redemption Baptist Church, Cape Coast, and his church members who are with me. In fact, we have become good friends since I received a request from him to write a foreword to his book titled A Theology of Marriage and Family, a challenge to same-sex relationship. We have been over 2 years ago and always been in touch, and that is good. Then to my mate, Professor Asonaba Kofi Addison of University of Education. Winneba Kofi, yes, for coming here to support your brother. Then he introduced himself already. Professor Nana Paul Safo Mensah of the Bureau of Integrated Rural Development, College of Agriculture and Natural Resources, Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. Nana, you are welcome. Then I'm also grateful to my comrades who joined Mr. Ni Komi to be here to support their comrade. I'm very grateful to you. Then to Mr. Stephen Nketiah of Brekum, who was formerly with Gassem. He traveled from Accra to be here to support his senior brother. I'm also grateful to Mr. Nto, the manager ADB, the UCC branch. And the same goes to Mr. Benjamin Dakon, the Prudential Bank is a UCC branch. My next appreciation goes to Dr. Philip Kweku Takrama of TVUCC College of Education, who traveled all the way from Yosu to be here to celebrate with me. And the same goes to Mr. Kuma of Abitifi College of Education. You show by hand. Thank you. I have not forgotten you, Mr. Tiger Asma from Elmina and Kwesi Thompson. They are my best friends. Since I went to Elmina, they are the people I've been associating with. If you don't find me in my house, then at Tiger's place, enjoying ourselves. Yes. The next one, appreciation goes to Mr. Augustine Jedu, the regional manager, Bono Region, Forestry Services Division. In fact, Augustine Jedu was my primary school mate. He's now doing his PhD at the where the forestry school is, the University for Energy. Yes, the one at Sunyane. His currently is almost Kofi, let them see you. Yes, thank you. Then Mr. Ifa Mensah, he also primary school mate. Kwame, good to be here. Then to a very important person, Mr. Joseph Srebo. Mr. Srebo, please. Yes, Mr. Srebo was my teacher, BK and English teacher at Brekum Secondary School. And one thing about Mr. Srebo is, unfortunately, he's visually impaired. So when he was doing his course at Tech, I have to go there, read a whole book to him, and he will record. So we have been very close. And I used to be his guide. We've traveled outside the country. And one good thing I took from him is that whilst I was there, serving as his guide, I was earmarking something. In fact, I'm married to his niece. Yes. I'm grateful to all my nephews and nieces who travel from Bekun to join me. Yes, and all my friends and lovers who are with me here today. And last but not the least, to my lovely wife, Madam Joyce AWUAH-NYAMEKYE, and our children who are all here. Yes. And my provost, Professor Kwame Osei Kwatin. Yes, I'm also grateful. He has been giving me inspiration. Together with my dean, Professor Kwabena Safo Kantanka. I'm very grateful to you for all the support. And all those I'm unable to acknowledge. Please, everybody is acknowledged because you are many. Yes, and I will say, my allergy is here in spectacle. Good. My good friend, Alaji, you are welcome. Yes. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. I'll call on the College of Professors to help us with the rubric. Let's welcome the College of Professors as they come up stage.
Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE. We say, are you cool? Yes, you have a new home, College of Professors. And we are going to initiate you and accept you into that home and committee.
I'll call on the Pro-Vice Chancellor, Professor Mrs. Rosamond Boahene, to take her turn to congratulate Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE. The Acting Registrar will take his turn to do so, Reverend Isaac Berfi-Sabing. I'll call Reverend Professor Emmanuel Adobing to take his turn, to be followed by Professor Samuel Yeboah-Mensah. The Honorable Dr. Mustafa Abdul Hamid, CEO, National Petroleum Authority. The Honorable Regional Minister for Bono East, Madam Justina Wusu Banahene. The Honorable Member of Parliament for Commander Edina Iguafu Abrim will take his turn. The Honorable Samuel Atta Mills. Professor Obing Ufori VC, Catholic University, Fiapre. Professor Benjamin Odru, Rector, West End University College. Professor John Nelson Boa, former Pro VC UCC, would also take his turn. The wife of Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE and children will take their turn. Family members will follow after the wife and children. Family members, to be followed by friends. Friends of Professor AWUAH-NYAMEKYE, I'll call on the Department of Religion and Moral Values and Human Values, forgive me. Department of Religion and Human Values. You take your turn. West End University College would follow after the Department of Religion and Human Values. Yes, thank you very much. West End University College, you take your turn. After West End, I'll call on the Provost for the College of Humanities and Legal Studies and the Dean of the Faculty of Arts to take their turn. Please come. And they are presenting a citation to Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE. Provost of the College of Humanities and Legal Studies and the Dean for the Faculty of Arts. Followed by the Alumni UCC. Alumni UCC. Right, thank you very much. So Prof would want to make a brief announcement.
Thank you, Madam. Please,
this celebration coincided with the birthday of my pension baby, my last daughter. So I'm celebrating with her. AWUAH AWUAH-NYAMEKYE. Okay. So, come on, greet me. Yeah, okay. AWUAH. It's okay. Okay. Thank you.
Right, thank you. Let's do it for Prof whilst he exits, and then he will shake hands with Nananom as he goes to take his seat. We can do it better for him whilst he takes his seat. Thank you very much. Let's do it for him one more time. I would have to acknowledge a few more individuals in here, but then since Prof AWUAH-NYAMEKYE has already acknowledged a number of the dignitaries who are here to support him, my task has been reduced, and I'll be just acknowledging a few people. First is the Vice Chancellor of University of Cape Coast, who is the chair for today's inaugural lecture. Please help me acknowledge Professor Johnson Nyako-Boampong once more. The Pro-Vice Chancellor of UCC, Professor Rosamond Bohene, is also in our midst. Let's acknowledge her. And then we also have the Acting Registrar, Reverend Isaac Berfi-Sabing, in our midst. Let's kindly acknowledge him too. I would go on to acknowledge members of the College of Professors. We have Professor Francis Eric Amukwando, former Pro-Vice Chancellor UCC and a member of the College of Professors, Professor George K.T. Odro is in our midst. Let me also quickly acknowledge Reverend Professor Emmanuel Adobe. He is a former Vice Chancellor UCC. Professor Mrs. Sarah Dakwa, let's acknowledge her please. Professor Yao Ankoma, we acknowledge your presence. Reverend Professor Kankam Buedu is in our midst. Give us a wave, sir, and let's acknowledge you. Reverend Professor Seth Asaridanso is also a member of the College of Professors. Thank you for coming. Professor Frederick Atuama is also here. And Professor Samuel Y. Mensah is also a member of the college, and we duly. Right, so Professor Samuel Y. Mensah is the chair of the College of Professors. We can do it for him once more. Help me acknowledge the Ogwa Manhin Osabre Makwisata II for gracing this occasion, and the Ogwa Manrahin Nana Kweku Inu. Thank you, Nana, for being here. I would acknowledge provosts who are present. Professor Kwame Osei-Kwarteng is a provost for the College of Humanities and Legal Studies. And also Professor Martin Zeko is provost of the College of Health and Allied Sciences, UCC. Thank you, sir, for coming. Other dignitaries, I would quickly acknowledge Professor and Mrs. V.P.Y. Gajakbo are in our midst. And we also have Pastor D.T.T. Okran, Council Chair, SDA College of Education at Sokore, Koforidua. Thank you so much for being here. I'll call on our chair to give his closing remarks. Let's welcome Professor Johnson Nyako-Boampong.
Before I give my closing remarks, I want to state that some of the professors have written to us that they also want to give their inaugural lecture. And we have Professor Eugene Kufuor Mafo Date, Professor Ishmael Mensah, Professor David Tay Doku, Professor George Amuako, Professor Osei Kwatin, Professor Dennis Ahito, and Professor Augustine Tanley. These professors have written to us, and we'll be giving them dates so that they can also give their inaugural lecture. Okay. Now, I would like to congratulate Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE for giving his inaugural lecture. Now he's born again. You all agree with me that he has done justice to the topic, the nexus between religion and environment, matters arising. In fact, before his lecture, he actually he mentioned that he has dedicated the lecture to 4 people. So 2 parents, that is the mother and then the father, and then his ex-lecturers, Professor Garba and Professor Osei. This means that the professors have cloned themselves. So every professor is expected to clone either himself or herself. And that is also to acknowledge the work of professors. They work so hard to produce their replicas so that they can continue the academic work. He gave the background of his lecture that's based linking religion and environment. He gave definitions, but he said that in religion we have a definition and then it's different from the definition. But he made us understand that religion can influence people either positively or negatively. But let the religion influence us positively so that we can contribute to the preservation of the environment. He focused more on Christianity and how they have contributed to the degradation of the environment. He talked about assisted declaration, where by the stroke of pen, Christians were compelled to defend themselves by making other declarations. He then focused on his research publications. And this is the first time I'm hearing the PROCA. Even before the introduction of secular knowledge in Ghana, our ancestors, they knew more about the environment, and they have methods of agriculture or methods of cultivating crops said that the environment will be preserved. And he talked about PROCA, and here he used scientific explanation to the need to practice PROCA in the sense that when you burn the land after clearing the land, you destroy a lot of fauna and flora. But when you use the PROCA, you conserve them. That's why these days we don't get more mushrooms and then snails. If you don't culture them in your home, you cannot get more to eat. So he asked a question: do we need religion in our fight against environmental degradation? And he answered it that big yes, we still need religion. And he talked about the fact that we have lost most of our forest reserves. Now we have Bia Taya reserve, which has been destroyed. Then Suka reserve that has also been destroyed. He mentioned many others. He also indicated the role of religion in savaging nature. And then he focused on African religion, how our ancestors were able to preserve the environment. And the mechanism talks about the attitude towards land and rivers. Our ancestors made sure that we give respect to the use of the land and rivers. There are certain days we don't even go to the riverside. And it is typical here. I think Tuesdays we don't go to the sea. And it's a method of preservation. He mentioned a lot of things. And then he said that this actually reminds me of a proverb, that we have not been able to produce proverbs, but our ancestors had them. And they said that nananomo umpo nipa na eye. So nananum can create impo. I hope you understand the impo. Yes. And nananum did it. So it is important that we also create impo these days to preserve the environment. So we need to live in harmony with the environment. He mentioned a lot of things. And matters arising, he still talked about the use of religious, cultural values and their effects on using religion and cultural means to combat environmental problems. So there's a need to make sure that we still practice our culture and use it to preserve the environment. He also talked about the fact that we need to respect our religions. If you are a Christian, you need to respect our brothers in the Muslim religion and other religions. He has actually showed the link between religion and the environment. But he gave two messages, and he said take-home messages. These are healing environment. By healing environment, we heal ourselves. He also said that it is disservice to preach about God and humanity without making reference to environmental preservation. Anything short of that is ungodly. So if we are religious, we should make sure that we preserve our environment. Professor, you've done well. Now we are all going to advocate for the preservation of environment. And I hope our reverend ministers here will get topics to preach about on Sundays so that we can preserve our environment. We thank you for making it to this lecture. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Chair. I'll call on Reverend Professor Kankam-Boadu to give us the closing prayer. Please welcome him.
Thank you very much. Humbly, let us be on our feet. As a Methodist, I want to align myself with Methodist hymn 10. Now thank we all our God, with hearts and hands and voices, who wondrous things has done, in whom his world rejoices, who from our mother's arms have blessed and blessed us, countless gifts of love, and still is ours today. Let us pray. And so, Father, we are most grateful unto you. You have been our fountain of knowledge, source of information. All that we've been able to do are in line with your direction. We sought for your direction, and this is how far you have brought us. Indeed, your word has been fulfilled. Our eyes have seen the inaugural lecture of our brother. We ask him that messages, admonishment that we have heard will be used on our pulpit, will be used in our churches and wherever we stand to proclaim your word. Above all, may we see your hands as we continue with this, and those who are yet to do their inaugural lecture. As we depart in, may the good Lord bless us and keep us. The Lord make his face to shine upon us and be gracious unto us. The Lord lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace this day and forevermore. Amen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. That's about it for the inaugural lecture. A quick announcement is that Professor Samuel AWUAH-NYAMEKYE will take a few photos out of this auditorium, and so we crave that you all join him when the time is due. We would all rise, and then the Vice Chancellor with his entourage, the College of Professors, Nananom, and our dignitaries would exit this auditorium.